Hi everyone, it's time for another episode of Atoms for the Love of Movie Picks. This time around, we're going to be talking about the 2004 film You Got Served. The premise of You Got Served is at Mr. Rad's warehouse, the best hip hop crews in Los Angeles compete for the money and the respect. But when a suburban crew crashes the party, stealing their dancers and their moves, two warring friends have to pull together to represent the street. Combining a sexy story and the best dance moves to hit the screen, You Got Served is a fast moving urban drama with a hip hop heart of steel, starring hip hop sensations Marquis Houston, Omari Granberry, Little Kim, and comedian Steve Harvey. So, like the case says, there's quite a few well-known actors in this particular movie. You got Omari on is his other name as David. You've got Raz B as Vic, Little Fizz as Rashawn, Marquis Houston as Elgin, Jennifer Freeland as Leah, Megan Good as Beautiful, and of course Steve Harvey is Mr. Rad, just funny guy and actually a pretty decent actor as well. I'm not sure where I've seen this guy before, but I'm sure I have. Robert Hoffman plays a guy in the rival crew by the name of Max. One of my favorite characters. Now, I'm not sure she's in any of the movies, but I absolutely love her in this movie. Her name is Esther Scott. She plays Elgin's grandmother. Just absolutely hilarious lady, and really, a funny character that really sets some of the more comedic scenes in the movie for sure. And of course, Little Kim as Little Kim is in this one as well. I think that's about the extent of the well-known actors in this particular movie that I know of, anyways. So yeah, one of the things I like about this movie, I mean, this is definitely from my teenage years, going back to 2004. So, it was one of my favorite movies of that time frame. A lot of people are familiar with the Step Up videos, and the whole series of videos that they produce. But this was in and around the same time frame, and I just don't think it got as much recognition as Step Up. But I mean, it's just as good. I mean, the dance moves are absolutely insane. You could tell the choreography, whoever was in charge of the choreography for this movie just really knew what they were doing. And I mean, obviously some of the actors probably have some experience in dances before, but the synchronized dancing that they do in this movie is just insane. It almost seems like something you'd expect in a professional street dance battle. It's crazy. But beyond the dancing, and obviously the music that the dancing is set to is just spectacular. It's got a decent enough storyline to it. This is not what I would consider a big budget Hollywood movie. Probably cost a couple mil to make this movie, if that, which by Hollywood standards is nothing. But it's done professionally enough that it's not amateur. It's not like somebody out shooting street dance battles with a video camera kind of amateur. But it's definitely low quality, and just in the sense of it's not high up there like a Titanic kind of budget movie. It's not that kind of high end. But it's still really well done. And there's, like I said, the storyline is simple, but it's effective. You got Elgin and David, the leaders of their dance crew, and they're one of the best dance crews in the streets of Los Angeles. They consistently win battles, and they get challenged by this crew, basically led by a bunch of rich kids. But what happens is one of their members of the crew betrays them and gives away all their moves to this crew, and they lose bad in this battle. And shortly thereafter, to get the money back that they lost, Elgin runs drugs for a guy by the name of Mr. Emerald. And, he gets jacked. But David was supposed to meet him, but David was hooking up with Elgin's sister. And it just, their friendship kind of dissolved from there. So it's just kind of the movie's about them beefing and, stuff happening in it. There's emotional parts to this movie. I'm not going to give too much away. If you haven't seen it before, it kind of ruins the surprise of what goes on. But definitely the acting of the people that are in here, like I said, there's some good, well-known actors, just some well-known, maybe even just artists, both dance and song or both. They really do a good job in this movie. Some of the hit songs that you may recognize. I mean, there's quite a few done by Omarion. And B2K, I think, is the name of the artist that does a lot of the songs in this particular movie. But some of the more well-known artists that there's songs to in this, you got Stand Up by Ludacris, Flip Side by Freeway, Anxiety by the Black Eyed Peas, and Pump It Up by Joe Budden, just to name a few. So, I mean, it really keeps you energized in this movie. I mean, besides the storyline, which is easy to follow, like I said, the dancing and the music. I mean, not everybody's a fan of this brand of music. Obviously, this is kind of really coming of age, like I said, in the early 2000s. I mean, hip hop and rap in general really started in the mid to late 80s. And really gained traction through the 90s, and by the time the early 2000s rolled around, when this movie came out, it was really a popular following among young people and people in their early 20s and that. So I mean, I understand that everybody would like this style of music, but even if you don't like the music, just the energy you can feel off the dance scenes with the music is enough to keep your interest, I think. I'm not saying it's as good as a movie, let's say, a Footloose, but it's kind of that kind of idea. You got the great music with the great dancing. It just keeps your interest throughout the movie and is really entertaining, and I highly recommend it for anybody who hasn't seen it before. In terms of a rating, it deals with some serious themes. It's got a PG-13 rating. I would suggest that there's a little bit of language, some reference to drugs, and a bit of violence in that, but for the most part, I would say PG-13 is pretty accurate, so nobody under the age of 13. Not sure if it's available on any streaming platforms, but I'm sure you can find it wherever movies are sold. And give it a watch if you haven't seen it before. You got served. Highly recommend it. Take care, folks. Have yourself a good one. We'll see you in the next one.